All the things you do and all the other ways you love to be.
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Brooklyn-based jazz singer and educator Sachal Vasandani. We had a wide-ranging talk about quite a bit, like his new 2021 CD, Midnight Shelter, with his friend and fellow musician, Romain Collin. Sachal is recognized for his singular voice with the tone and phrasing that mark him as one of the most unique artists on the scene today. These days, he also hosts a monthly emerging singers concert at the Django in New York, showcasing up-and-coming singers on the stage. He is a preeminent educator, bridging a strong technical foundation and a disciplined, immersive jazz study with a fundamentally open spirit. This cat has a lot of things going on. He's wonderful for jazz. Enjoy the story.
Hey, Joe, how are you? Thanks for getting in touch.
Yeah, man, absolutely. How you doing?
I'm good, and I'm so glad I answered. I was expecting your call, but it says scam likely on my iPhone, so I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, no, that's not my name. That's right. I changed my name years ago. That's right. It's so weird. I remember the first time I saw it come up, and I was like, man, who the hell named their kid Scam? You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. Whoa.
So,
sorry about the noise.
Well, hey,
they're coming for you. They're coming
I
for
like
you.
it. Yeah, totally. I shouldn't have called. I'm sorry. I'll hang up now.
Yeah, right.
So you're in New York, correct?
Yeah.
I love the errant sirens on the audio. Whenever it happens.
I know, man. It's par for the course, especially in my little nook and cranny of Brooklyn where I live. It's constant annoyance, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. You just gotta. It's like anything else that we're living through right now. It's just kind of a weird show on Earth right now.
Totally.
Man.
I kind of wish they would give it a rest, but what are you going to do?
Well, I was thinking the other day, I ran into somebody and I said, I saw the governor of Missouri had proclaimed, the COVID-19 emergency is over. And I was like, yeah, let's not start shouting that too high from the mountain because where we've been after that. And I was just thinking in general, after the Will Smith incident, everything that's gone on, we have been so wired for drama for these last 2 years. It was like we couldn't just have a virus. We had to have George Floyd, and then everything from there that kind of steamrolled. And then now we have, Putin. It's like we're so weaned on that. If we had genuine peace and no noise, I don't know what we would do.
I know. It's so dark, right? But we kind of need it.
Well, and I guess that's the reason why these conversations are so good is that art is the thing that genuinely kept the darkness out, that's really helped all of us throughout this time. And that's the first and foremost thing I want to talk to you about is how did you make it through this pandemic as an artist with no live shows and just having that creative fortitude?
Oh, thanks. I don't know that I had any fortitude whatsoever. I spent the entire pandemic curled up in a ball. No, I'm just kidding. I have to say there have been, it's been a couple years now, so there have been some great moments and there's been some really kind of, frustrating moments. The ones that were great were kind of defined, especially by the fact that I was able to collaborate. And one of the things that I've been telling folks about is my latest record, which came out during the pandemic. It was actually recorded during the pandemic. It was a project called Midnight Shelter, and it was all that we were able to do, me and my neighbor, an amazing musician, but just happens to be my neighbor, was record an album of duets, covers and songs that we were just kind of feeling. It came out beautiful because we were at the one studio in town that seemed to be open. I'm so happy about it. And we actually just did another project. It's all duos, And so it kind of got me through the dark times because there were a lot of dark characteristics about the album. It's like duo, it's low in my voice, it's very quiet, very soft, very intimate. A lot of the lyrics and the way I sing is very kind of plaintive. So it really worked out. And I'm still kind of out there touring it and promoting it and having fun with it. So, yeah.
So I guess more than that, now as kind of things start opening up, what did you learn about yourself during this quarantine time of self-reflection that maybe you didn't realize before that's going to make you stronger now? Not only as an individual, but as like the jazz community coming out and performing and getting back to it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd like to see the best part of me. I think could could say, hey, you know, all you really need is your voice and your spirit. That's been really, really wonderful, you know. At the same time, I really missed community, and I'm really happy to be getting out there and kind of collecting time with going to see shows and going to see my friends and going to see people play. So I do find that the most invigorating time and most invigorating part of being in New York, being part of a jazz community, is actually the community. But, you know, you figure out how to get through the shitty time on your own and make music and be productive and then let things go and not be any of those things and be cool with being you. I guess maybe I got a little closer to just what it means to be alive, man. Like, especially when it's not great.
I agree. You know, you've been doing some collaborations with Romain Collin, and I'm curious how that relationship started and what is it like? It seems as though you have a pretty fruitful union. What is that musical relationship like?
This is the one that kind of started during all that pandemic stuff I was just mentioning. Roman, my neighbor, is a friend, I guess. He was a friend first, and then because we had some good vibes as friends, it was cool to think about making music, and he's a fantastic player. And I was really enamored of the way he plays ballads and the way he respects melodies. And so we really put that like kind of heart and soul into the album. And now, like I said, the second album, it's been a joy, man. It's been a joy to work with him. He's such an empathetic player. And as a singer, man, you need those kind of people, don't you?
You certainly do. And, you know, on the other side of things, you have a monthly series that you are heading up at the Django. So talk to me about that.
So Django has been really cool to allow me to present young singers. Now, you asked me about spending time with myself, but one of the nice things has been like getting out there and seeing who's doing what, young singers, next generation of singers, maybe some folks that the community hasn't seen in a while, and we deserve to share that. And so that's exactly what's happening, is sharing the stage, literally, and also figuratively with, I would call them folks that are happy and present on the scene today, folks that you and I might know about, but also not, you know, new students, former students of mine, or students at the schools in town, or folks who have just gotten to town. And for example, one of my teachers from years ago when I was first starting out, she went and taught in Berlin for 20 years, Judy Niemak, and she's got quite a presence. And now she's back in New York, where it's her hometown, and so she's going to do the next gig in April 20th. And I'm excited to be able to present her and sing alongside her. I get a great joy out of seeing folks do their thing and enjoying that as a listener, but also kind of sharing a stage with them. It's really cool.
How did the jaws of jazz get you? How did this journey into the music begin for you?
Yeah, great question. I've been singing for a really long time, and singing jazz kind of around the time I just started singing. It was in my family, it was in my school, it was in my community, and it felt like a healthy thing to do, you know? I'm really happy that my whole life I've had support for my kind of life journey, and always feeling like how big and supportive the community has been, but also like how they allow you to grow and make mistakes and not do your best concerts and still come back, and it's pretty great. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing.
So talk to me a little bit about influences. What were some musicians that really kind of influenced the way that you were going to not only approach the stage but find your own voice?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like we're always evolving on our voices. We're always trying to be our own person, but we're also finding new influences. I love Jon Hendricks. I love Joe Williams. I love Frank Sinatra. I love Nat King Cole. And, you know, the thing is, even those four people, I came to them at different times in my life. And so you don't think of it just as like a pure, like, oh, he's the sum of those parts, but it's also time matters. You know, I came to maybe Joe Williams first, I came to Sinatra second, maybe Jimmy Rushing somewhere in there, and then more recently, like Nat King Cole, kind of as a college student or something like that. And those things get layered on, and maybe I would have a different output if I had only been listening to Nat King Cole when I was a kid, and then I layered on like a Billy Eckstine on top of that, as opposed to the reverse. So time is a big part of it. If you drop some singer on me that I'd never heard of today, and you said, well, go check out XYZ person, and I did, and I said this is an influence of mine, that would be different as an adult than if you had said that same thing to me as a kid. You understand how we become not just the sum and greater than the sum of our influences, but we're constantly evolving. We're constantly adding influences to the litany, if that makes sense.
The one thing that's been very seminal for all of us in our love of this craft is the shows we've seen. What was the first live jazz show you saw that really shook you?
Maybe seeing Joe Williams, since we're talking about him, at Ravinia outside of Chicago when I was a kid. Just the presence, warm summer's day, big band, sitting all the way in the back, never got to meet him, but just knowing that kind of voice could carry out over the whole festival grounds, that might have been one.
Staying on the topic of big names, you've been around some heavy names like Wynton Marsalis and Bobby McFerrin and Bill Charlap, and I'm curious, what did you learn from these, legends and luminaries of the craft that you in turn use to teach younger musicians you get around?
Yeah, great question. There's so many things, just from the names that you just mentioned. From Bobby McFerrin, a ton of flexibility and a constant humility about my voice, for all that I put into it. To be able to be joyful and creative and always know that someone like Bobby McFerrin has just a beautiful instrument and has put in all the work and always trying to chase that star. So a ton of humility. For someone like Bill Charlap, kind of a true respect of melody and lyrics and being able to put that even while leading a band and never lose sight of that. And the list goes on, you interact with people, you see how they treat everything from the music to the musicians to the audiences, even down to the catering, or who's easy to travel with on the road or something. And you learn so much, and then you share that, you share that whether you know it or not. I don't always put it into specific terms with my students or with the community at this Django gig, but hopefully it's just part of who I am. At some point it becomes part of who I am. What
do you like the best about what you do as a professional musician? What is it that you look forward to the most every day?
Sharing my voice with people that are on the other side of the stage, to be able to get up on that stage and sing a song and hope that it connects with people. But even if it doesn't, if I'm being really brutally honest, just to be singing is its own reward. Having you on the other side of that is, derive some meaning or tap your foot or whatever is another layer, and it's important to sing in front of people and not just in your shower. But being on stage singing is like kind of my favorite place to be.
Let's say tonight you have a dream. You run into a younger version of yourself around the time you were going out to become a professional, and you could give yourself, your younger version, one piece of advice based on the wisdom that you've accumulated over all these years. What would you tell that version of you?
Wow. I would say, this too shall pass. There will be ups and there will be downs, and there will be a lot of side steps, and there will be people that will come in and out of your life, will play meaning, and just keep rolling. Keep rolling. The thing that I always try to remember is even community, which I love so much, is as fickle as other humans. But one thing that is not fickle is kind of the pursuit of a better voice, the pursuit of more knowledge. That's something that you can control by putting in the work. So I would just keep saying to that younger version of me, or really anybody who wants to listen, just keep putting in the work.
If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see any jazz musician in any era, what digits are you going to punch in the DeLorean? Where are you going?
Yeah, I don't know. 1964 Town Hall concert, Miles Davis, maybe. I love that concert so much. But honestly, honestly, just to be around in that time. I mean, there might have been certain doors that would have been closed to me, but I have this feeling just the world was smaller, and of course there's so many bad things, that come out of that. But there's some good things too, and one of the things is the world around you, your community, your immediate kind of vibe means more. You know? I do.
So what is it that you love the most about jazz? Why do you love jazz?
I love it because I get to be myself all the time, even as I evolve, even during the course of a song. I get excited about that freedom. The preparation I've done as a musician is to prepare for being free. Sometimes I see like everybody from Broadway to classical to pop music, even to like, it's not a question of is it good or bad music. It's oftentimes very good, but it doesn't need to be. It's very bad too, but it's a lot of it is scripted. You know, if you go to a rock show or a pop artist show or the opera, so much of that is scripted. You go to Broadway, you know that's scripted, you know? But even like a pop show, man, I went to see Bad Bunny, the reggaeton superstar at Barclays. That's not scripted. It can't not be. He's got 20,000 people in the audience. He's got to do a 3-hour show. There's lasers and lights and trucks and fire. It's scripted. I think the thing I like about jazz is I don't know where we're going to end up when I start that downbeat, you know? And I love that feeling. I really love it. It feels, I don't know, it's a rush. It's totally empowering. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So as the world wakes up and we start returning more and more to live music, what do you hope we all collectively realize about the power of live music that we've largely been away from for the last 2 years?
Man, I can't speak for everybody, but since we're on the topic of jazz, you know, I hope people recognize what a powerful feeling it is to be in the presence of musicians who are going for it, and neither audience nor even performer has a complete roadmap laid out. You know, to be around live music is awesome. To be around an artist that you like of any genre is also awesome. So you can see that in the city. I mentioned the Barclays show, but I've been to Rockwood Music Hall. I've been to Dizzy's Club just in the last week or two. You know, I've been to Smalls or Mesro or Drome, or places where people are playing all styles of music and at all levels. You know, $1 million artists down to $100 artists, and everyone's excited, especially at the Django. You know, people are excited to be there. But I think the thing about jazz is, like, you only have a blueprint, but you expect and you embrace that to be deviated from. You know, you expect that. You expect that during jazz, and I love that.
So everyone has an idea or perception of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you live your life. You have a perception of you. Who do you think you are?
Oh, man. I'm a pretty good singer. And I have some ideas. I have some ideas about how good music can be shared. And as long as I like to get deep, and we're getting deep on this, but man, it's got to hit you in the gut. And I try to be that kind of singer. You know, I try to hit people on a couple of different levels.
This has been great, man. Hey, thank you for opening up. Thanks for taking some time out for the show. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, same, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York, Kansas City, and spots all over the globe, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Sachal for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
It's just a vision in the dark. It doesn't make the matter clearer, and you won't see your reflection in the shadow of a mirror.
Neon Jazz.